Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another cold summer shoots. It is a little bit cold out here. It's like in the 40s today, but we're gonna make it happen. And today I'm out here shooting my 19X, but I decided I wanted to stop shooting and kind of let you know and help those of you who don't know how to shoot a handgun effectively and properly. And so first and foremost, what you wanna do, let's get right to it. Let's not even waste no time. This is what we want to do. First, you want to get a good stance. And with your stance, I mean, if you can see me, I want to make sure that my feet are shoulder width apart, and I'm going to have my left leg in front and my right leg slightly in the back. And I do this based off of what my dominant hand is. So if I'm dominantly right-handed, I'm going to have my left foot forward and my right foot backward. If I was left-handed, I would have my right foot forward and my left foot backwards. So I'm gonna straddle or separate my feet because I feel like I get a better base and a better balance to my body when I have them spread apart at shoulder width, 1 foot in front, 1 foot in back, and a slight bend to my knees. I feel like if you shoot straight up, both feet by your side, if someone was to push you, you wouldn't have anything to go back on. Prime example is if someone pushes you, the first thing you do is step back. And so that's where your balance and that's where your base comes from. So why not go ahead and put that foot back? So I started my stance, left foot forward, right foot back, slight bend to my knee. My nose is in line with my front foot. So I don't want to be back here shooting because I'm still leaning. If somebody was to push me, I'll still be leaning. So I'm gonna push forward where my nose is over my toe. And this is the stance I wanna have. It kind of feels awkward, and it did feel awkward for me when I first started shooting like this, but now it's just normal. I know I'm gonna have a good base. Nobody's gonna be able to push me. I'm gonna be solid. I'm gonna be firm in my stance. And so this is typically where I start when I start shooting. Secondly, how do I handle my gun? All right, so again, we have my 19X. I'm gonna show clear. All right, so we have the 19X out today, and we're gonna be using this gun to show you how to properly hold and shoot your handgun. So the first thing that I do when I pick up my handguns is I get my hand, I'm right-handed, I get my hand very high up on the beaver tail. So if you don't know, this part here is called the beaver tail. So I get my hand high up in the beaver tail. That way the beaver tail is sitting right there in the meat of my thumb and that little meaty part above my thumb. And I'm gonna get it as high as I can. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to get my grip, the rest of my fingers. So I've got my 3 fingers down here. I always pull my index finger on the outside until I'm ready to shoot, but I use these 3 fingers and I put them right up under the trigger guard on the grip. Because this is my dominant hand, I'm gonna grip this gun in this fashion. This feels comfortable to me. I've got it tightly gripped. Even if I was to shoot it one hand right now, I could still control it. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come with my less dominant hand, or what we call your support hand, and I'm going to literally lay this hand like this on the gun. And the reason why is because I want my thumbs to line up with each other. All right, so I take this hand, and all of this space that you see on the grip, my hand is gonna cover it. And so that's what it would look like. There's my hand, the black space or the rest of the grip that's not covered, you want to cover it with this hand. And now I'm gonna shift my left hand or my support hand downward. That way my thumbs line up. If I went like this, my thumbs aren't lining up. My left hand, my left thumb is sitting basically on top of the slide, and then my right thumb is sitting on top of my left thumb. I want to shift my hand down so that my thumb now sits on my thumb rest or my thumb texturing that I have right here. And the rest of my fingers will basically go into the grooves of my dominant or my right hand. So they will just sit here, close it tight. My left thumb is on the thumb grip or thumb texturing, and my right thumb can either lie right here on top of my other thumb, or I can put it right here in line with the slide. So as you can see, my thumbs are both pointing in the same direction. And on the other side, My index finger is out of the trigger guard because I'm not ready to shoot. And then my support fingers are in the grooves of my dominant hand. This is typically how you want to be gripping a gun. Some people decide, you know, when they first get into shooting, and some people who are still seasoned shooters will grip way down here. Look at all this room that I have in between my beaver tail and my hand. That's going to cause a lot of muzzle flip. You're not going to be able to control the gun that well. And because you don't want to be shooting that way, you want to bring your hand all the way up. The other thing that you see a lot of times with shooters who are not shooting properly, or let's just say handling the gun properly or gripping the gun properly, is sometimes they'll be down here. That's really not going to help you, because you don't have as much support down here as you would up here to try to control your recoil and get good effective shots. Down here, I really don't know what purpose this serves. Like, this really is uncomfortable to me. And I feel like if I shoot, this is gonna be terrible. And I'm gonna shoot in just a minute to show y'all how this works. All right, and so after I have my grip, the next thing I do is I put like a slight bend in my elbows. Now, I know a lot of people point straight out and shoot, but that just don't work for me. I don't feel comfortable when I'm arm straight out shooting. It just does not feel good to me. So when I do push out my gun to shoot, I typically go here and I have a slight bend in my elbows. And the reason why is because the recoil is gonna already be, you know, something to deal with. And so I feel like when I shoot, I have like this restriction in my elbows that helps me maintain this recoil and maintain the shots. And so after the grip is great, well, let's first start with the stance. The grip, I push out with bent elbows. Then the next thing I want to do is make sure, if I'm shooting with a red dot, that my red dot is on my target. So if I look down the window of my red dot, I now see that it is on the target, and I can actually pull the trigger right now and hit the target right in the middle. Some people don't like shooting with red dots. Some people like shooting with iron sights, and vice versa. You know, whatever your cup of tea is, that's what you get comfortable with. Obviously, if you're shooting with iron sights, you want to line up your rear sight with your front sight, and mine does not co-witness, obviously, but you want to make sure that the front sight is in between these two, if you can see it right there, two dots on the back of the rear sight. That's how you would shoot iron sights. That's a video for another day. All right, so since I'm shooting with the red dot, again, I'm just gonna make sure my red dot is on my target, and it is. And the next thing we need to know how to do is to pull the trigger. Now, triggers are different in all handguns. You have to determine and decide what kind of trigger you have. Even if you replace your stock trigger with an upgraded trigger, you need to make sure you're practicing with that trigger so that you know where the wall is, where the break is. Those types of things matter when you're shooting your gun. All right, and so what is a wall? This trigger I have in here is the Glock Performance trigger, and it's 19X. All I did was change out the trigger, and I also changed out the trigger shoe. This is from I think this is the standard Code USA trigger shoe in FDE. All right, so when I pull my trigger, I'm already at my wall with little to no movement or take up. So that is where my wall is, and when I pull the trigger, I hear an audible click. When I get ready to pull the trigger again, I have to release to hear another audible click, which will be my reset. And there it is. And then I'll be ready to be back on the wall again for another shot. All right, so that's just a little breakdown of how the trigger works, the reset, the movement, the travel, the break, all that good stuff. And so once you know what that is, you got your stance, you've got your grip, you've got your press out, and then you will have your trigger pull. All right, the biggest thing though, after all this, is making sure you have a good tight grip on the handgun. So we talked about how to grip the handgun, but now we're squeezing this gun. And the reason why we want to squeeze it is because we want to keep it steady, and we want to keep it on target as we're shooting. If we don't have a good grip, malfunctions can happen, inaccurate shots, just a lot of things could happen if your grip is not firm. And so after all that, we should be able to shoot this handgun very well. All right, let's load up and let's put all that together and shoot our pistol the right way. All right, before we shoot, I did want to mention something else about the trigger. All right, so when we're pulling our trigger, we always want to make sure we shoot from the wall, because that gives us a definite, I know I'm about to pull the trigger. I know that when I press it after the wall, the shot is going to go off. If we always wait for the audible click, we're anticipating shots that we don't even know where they're going to go. And so you always want to pull from the wall. And I showed y'all earlier, this is my wall. And every time I pull the trigger and the shot goes off, the slide will reciprocate, ejecting the casing, chambering a new round. And whenever I release my finger for the audible reset, there's my wall again, and I'm ready to pull the trigger. That's very important, because if we wait and we just slap the trigger, we have no clue where those rounds are gonna go, and they're probably not gonna be accurate anyway. This is a striker fire gun, so we're always gonna wanna make sure we pull our trigger slowly, starting out anyway, learning how to shoot a handgun. And the other part is we wanna make sure we pull the trigger with the meat of our finger. So this is considered the meat of our finger. When I put my finger in my trigger guard, I don't wanna over pull on the trigger, because this could, I'm a right-handed shooter, this could cause my gun to jerk to the right. If I pull with the tip of my finger, I could be jerking to the left. So we always want to make sure we pull with the middle meat of our finger to get the most accurate shot possible. All right, and the last thing I'm gonna say before we start shooting, I know y'all ready to see how this works, but ladies, this is for you. We gotta cut our nails. I'm gonna say it a little louder for the ones in the back. We have to cut our nails. I'm gonna tell you this, so I always get my nails done too, but look how short my nails are. I recently got my nails done, and they always ask, oh, you wanna cut them down? And I'm like, yes, I need to cut them down. They be like, oh no, they're long. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but for my application that I do daily, they cannot be long. The reason why, ladies, we cannot have long nails is because we have, for me, this light and my trigger guard to get my finger in. I don't wanna have any type of hiccups, malfunctions, or anything due to me not being able to get my finger into the trigger guard because my nail is too long. And I know that's gonna, like, for some of y'all, that's gonna be like hurtful to say, but I'm just coming from a very practical perspective and safety. Most importantly, being safe, because if your nails are that long, girl, you're not gonna be effective. So cut your nails, cut them down to the meat. Not really to the meat, because I've had my nails longer than this before, a little bit longer, and I can still, shoot well. But ladies, cut your nails. All right, here we go. So I have my mag. The first thing you're gonna do is insert your mag. I index my mag with my index finger so that I know my mag is going in, and I'm not fumbling with it, trying to do all this. I'm gonna index it with grip, with firmness, and I'm gonna insert it into the gun, and I'm gonna smack it in there so that I know it's in the gun. The next thing I'm gonna do is chamber around. Now there's two ways you can do this. The first way is I can pull my slide back and release it quickly. Just jerk it and release it. Or the other way I can do it is if my gun is already in the slide lock position, like we have here, and I insert my mag, I'm gonna hit my slide release right here on the side, which chambers around for me. So to each its own. You can do it that way, or you can do it, insert the mag and pull the slide back. Now you wanna go ahead and jerk the slide back, because if you be too calm with it or too slow with it, it may not chamber around. So my gun is now loaded. My finger is outside the trigger guard because I'm not ready to pull my trigger yet. This thing is hot. So any chance that something gets in the trigger guard, this gun could go off. So I'm gonna keep my finger outside of the trigger guard. I've got my dominant hand where I need it to be. It's high up on the beaver tail. I'm gonna come in with my support hand, cover up that real estate, and I'm gonna tilt it down. That way my left hand is resting on the indexing of the texturing that I have here, and then my right hand or my right thumb is resting either on the slide or the frame or on top of my left thumb. All right, now I know I missed showing you the stance, but I was already in my stance. I am shoulder width apart. I have my left foot in front, my right foot behind. I'm forward a little bit and I got a bend in my knees. I'm gonna press out and I've got a bend in my elbows, and I do see my red dot on my target, and I'm ready to shoot. So from here, I'm squeezing my gun. I'm almost like squeezing it like I'm trying to bust a grape between my palms. So I'm squeezing it and I'm ready to go. I'm gonna insert my finger into the trigger guard and I'm gonna find my wall. I found my wall and there's the shot. All right, that is right in the middle, but I don't have no ears on. So let me put my ears on. All right, we got our ears on, we're ready. Shouldn't be that loud this time. All right, so here we go. Stance is great, bend in my knees. My grip is great. Everything is tight, squeezing, pushing out, finding my wall. That was very low because I anticipated the shot. Don't let your shot surprise you. Okay, that's how you shoot a handgun. It really is easy, but it does take practicing. Now I do want to show you, if you stand straight with both feet side by side or shoulder width apart, but in the same line, and you shoot your handgun, you see how the recoil made me jerk back a little bit? If you can see that, that's because I don't have any balance in my base. So I stepped back and I didn't go back that time because I have balance in my base. I do want to show you what it will look like if you don't have a high grip and your grip is loose. If I was to grip down here and this is what my grip looked like, this is how it would shoot. And I got everything down here. I don't know if you can see, but the recoil was a little bit higher. The muzzle rise and flip was a little bit more than when I was gripping tight and had a high grip. So that's what happens when you don't have a good grip. That's what it'll look like. And this is what it will look like if I held my support hand on the bottom, like you see most like older people do. Just growing up, that's how they shot handguns. Just support hand up under the bottom. But when you know better, you do better. Or sometimes people don't do better. All right, so if I was to hold right here and shoot, I don't have any, like this thing already feels unstable and just wrong to shoot because I've been shooting the right way, but this is what the shot would look like. And I didn't really exaggerate that flip, but that's what it looks like when you shoot that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's shoot our handguns right. Now that you know, adjust your everything. If you need to, adjust it all. Adjust your stance, adjust your grip, adjust your trigger pull, adjust your press out, whatever you need to adjust. I hope this was very helpful. Again, I just see too many people shooting the wrong way. So I felt like maybe let me just give some advice on how I shoot. It's been working for me. Let me know if you would change anything. I technically wouldn't change anything that I do today. Like I said, people shoot differently. People decide they want to have different stances, different grips, you know, whatever. But whatever works for you, works for you. I'm just giving you the way that I do it, and it seems to work. If you have anything you want to add, make sure you add it down in the comment section. Sometimes I miss some things, and you guys help me out in the comment section by letting me know, hey, some of you didn't mention this, blah, blah, blah. So make sure y'all take heed and let's shoot our firearms the right way. All right, y'all, I'm gonna show y'all how to shoot a rifle too. So y'all stay tuned for that next video because I'm gonna show y'all how to shoot a rifle. But until next time, stay armed, stay safe, stay vigilant. Peace.